Namaste. Welcome to Buddha's teaching. First of all, I like to pay respect to the Triple Gems. I like to pay respect to the Buddha. I like to pay respect to the Dharma. And I like to pay respect to the Sangha. Hello everyone. It's good to be here again today. It means that we are still able to hear. We are still able to understand. We are still breathing. And I'm still able to talk to you. So it's a great opportunity to continue study, to continue learning, to continue practice while we are alive, so that we have good, peaceful lives while we are experiencing all the phenomenon, the universe. So today, as you see in the topics, we are talking about the doctor and his medicine. So I'm sure some of you have an idea of what I'm talking about. The doctor in this case is the Buddha himself, right? And he's the founder. He's the doctor who found the medicine, who found the cure for mental illness, who found the cure to all the secret of all the hidden treasure that we are not aware of as ordinary people. He found the way to let us know what life is, uh, uh, what life is all about, what is the ultimate truth of all the reality. So there are many different levels in the teaching. Okay, and the teaching, of course, is what we call the Dharma. And the Dharma is the medicine that we are talking about. The medicine, of course, when we say that medicine, it is something that is supposed to help us feel better, right? It's just like when we are sick, we go to see a physician, to see a regular doctor. We go to get treatment and they give us medicine. Medicine is supposed to help cure a sickness. So the Dharma is the same thing. Okay, the Dharma that the Buddha left for us is a medicine. Okay, but this medicine here, the is a form of prescription that we ourselves um, have to follow the instruction and do it for ourselves. Nobody is going to do it for us, and that's what we call the practice. Okay, so the doctor of course had passed away, and we call for him is a special because he was a fully awakened being. So he had entered nirvana, right? The cessation, the end of all sufferings. And he left us the medicine, right? The cure to all of our mental problem, of our mental issue, to all of the problem that the society is facing every single day, that families are facing every single day, and to understand what is going on in our lives and what is going on in everyone's lives. But the thing is, yes, the doctor was here before, and the doctor left us the medicine. The issue is this, is that this medicine or the teaching, right, the Dharma or Buddha's teaching is not known in a lot of region of the world. Okay, only probably 1/3 of the world is exposed to or heard of Buddha's teaching, or most people call Buddhism. Okay, so because of that, most of the world don't even know that there is such a thing as the cure to the mental illness that people have. And this cure, this medicine here is a special medicine. Even psychiatrists can benefit from this medicine, because yes, believe it or not, even psychiatrists have their own family issue, have their own personal issue, right? Family and all that is similar to us ordinary people. It's just that they can handle it a little bit better than most of the people. But nevertheless, they still have issue, they still have problem in their lives. Okay, so Buddha's teaching is special. Once we understand the teaching, it's just like we actually take the medicine. All right, but for most of the people, and for people even the region of the world, like in Asia or Southeast Asia or whatnot, and right now some of the people in the Western world also have exposure to Buddhism, but they still only get to experience the outer level of Buddha's teaching. They only can see probably the tradition, that is what's going on, the ritual that people do and all that. Okay, but a lot of people who call themselves Buddhists don't really get to receive the benefit from the teaching, right? Don't really get to receive the benefits from the medicine, right? That the Buddha left. So the percentage of the people who actually understand the teaching is very small, right? So just imagine, probably 2/3 of the world never heard of Buddha's teaching, right? So never know that there is medicine for their disturbed and agitated mind, and they don't know. And the other 1/3 of the world population who's exposed to this, at a different level, at a different degrees, of course, still don't even get to receive the benefits from the real medicine themselves, because they are caught up in all the ritual, in the tradition, in the worshiping, in the praying and all that. So they don't get to see the inner core of what the teaching is all about. Okay, so because of that, a lot of Buddhists still go through a lot of suffering just like ordinary people, because they never get to swallow the real medicine, and that is very unfortunate. So what does the medicine that are supposed to do? What exactly is the medicine or the teaching, right? The teaching, and a lot of people say that once you get to understand the teaching, you become awake. Okay, so in another word, for most of the people, for ordinary people who never get to understand or get to experience or to come across this kind of teaching never know what the ultimate or the truth is, the real truth is. So people live in ignorance. People live in the great illusion. Okay, the delusion of the mind, right? So again, the Buddha taught about, of course, the body and the mind, right? And the main concentration is on the mind. And when people never get to learn this, they don't know about their very own mind. Okay, what the mind, how the mind works, what the function of the mind, and all of that. Okay, so the great illusion is that the mind that we are experiencing right now, right? The mind think, of course, right? The mind thinks that it is experiencing the same thing over and over all the time. Okay, like let's say right now we are sitting or we walking. Okay, you look around, you see the same thing, right? You see the wall, you see the table, you sitting in the chair, you see the glass, you see the cups, everything looks the same. Okay, so this is the great illusion right here. Okay, right in front of us, right now when we are experiencing it. Okay, that is the great illusion of existence. Okay, everything seems the same, nothing changed, and because of that, because of this repetition that the mind is going through all the time, right, at the speed of light, nothing seems to change. When you look at the wall is there, right? Nothing changed. When you look at the chair is there. Nothing changed. And because of this, this is the illusion of existence. Okay? This is the great illusion of existence. So because of that, the mind say there's existence and there is me. I am. Okay, and there's you are. Okay. So a conventional way of thinking, right? The way, because of this, a conventional thinking way cannot see the true reality. Okay, cannot see what the truth behind all of this. Okay, and because of that, it leads us to live in the greatest ignorance of all, that everything exists, right? Everything exists. I exist, you exist, the wall exists, the car exists, everything exists. Okay, my wife, my son, my parent, my children, the TV, the car, everything, okay, exists. So that is the great illusion, right? And to a lot of people who never come across this teaching, they're gonna say that this is crazy, right? This is just totally weird, right? A lot of people, they often say, "What are you talking about? What do you mean? I don't exist. I'm right here. What do you mean you don't exist? You're right there, right? If I hit you, you're in pain. What do you mean you don't exist?" Okay, so that is the greatest illusion that human being, all being going through. This is what nature is about. Okay, so, but for those of us who have been exposed to the teaching, we have a good idea of what the Buddha talks about. And that's why, in order for any being to be awake, uh, they have to go through the study, they have to go through the teaching, okay, to find out what is the teaching about. All right. So first of all, in order to get to that stage, the person have to have open mind. Okay. If the person already has a mind set on certain belief, if the mind has a mindset on certain doctrines and faith or whatnot, then the mind cannot receive the new opportunities. Okay, the mind is closed, so the mind cannot receive uh, the new teaching or a new way of looking things by experiencing it for themselves. So Buddha's teaching is open to everyone, but not everyone is able to receive it because of the mindset. Okay, only people who is willing to open their mind to listen, right? To listen to what the Buddha had to say, right? Not to believe, okay? Not to have a blind faith, blind belief or anything, all right? We just start out with, okay, so now that I heard that there's some kind of teaching that is called Buddha's teaching, or they call it the medicine to help cure the ignorance of people. So what is it that the Buddha talks about, right? So at least if a person has open mind, willing to listen, willing to look into it a little bit, then the person cannot receive information. But if the person is willing to hear, right, is willing to hear what the Buddha had to offer. Okay, so that is very important. The very first important step is, okay, what is it that the Buddha is talking about? Okay, so with that, that opens the door mind to something new, right? Then the mind can start to do a little more exploring, right, into different concept of what the mind used to think. Okay, so when the mind is open, it allows itself to receive new lights, right, to receive new information, and to be able to focus on new new perspective. So first of all, it has to start with the will to listen, right? The will to have open mind, okay? The will not to judge, and then just like the Buddha said, though there's no need to believe, no need to have blind faith or anything, right? You can take, right, whatever the Tathagata or the Buddha had to say, okay, and then you take those lessons and think for yourself and analyze for yourself whether what the Buddha had to say is true to yourself or not. Okay, it's nothing that it's not nothing that the Buddha force people to believe, right? The Buddha do not force people to have blind faith. The Buddha did not force people to have just believe without thinking. It's not like that. The awakened disciple of the Buddha, they are all very wise people, because they don't just take things and believe blindly. They take what the Buddha had to offer, analyze it, and practice it, and within themselves. Okay, as within each and individual person. Okay, and they all turn out that yes, what the Buddha had taught was the ultimate truth, that lead them to the release of the suffering in life. Okay, so because that's why we call them awakened one, because after they listen to what the Buddha had to offer, they agree to what the Buddha had taught. And because why is it that they agree to it? It is because they can experience what the Buddha taught within themselves. Okay, within themselves. They don't experience it with others, because remember, the medicine has to be taken by each and an individual, right? So when we take the medicine, we are the one who get cured, right? Not anyone else. Nobody can take the medicine for us. But when we take the medicine, and then we know that it works. Okay, and that's what enlightenment means. It awakes us inside, right? It awakens us inside, and they said, "Oh, I got it." Okay, so that's what the teaching is all about. The teaching is just like the medicine that we take to cure ourselves, right? Physically, it's so the Dharma is the same thing. The Dharma is the medicine, but once we understand it, so this medicine here that we take this medicine by listening, by have open mind, right? By have open mind and listen to what the Buddha had to say, what the Buddha taught, and then we apply it to within ourselves to see if it is true or not. Okay, so our very own experience within. This is the laboratory that we are experiencing things, we are experimenting things, and we see the benefits within. Okay, within our physical body and within our mind. Okay, this is how the medicine works. We don't take nobody can take this medicine for us, right? We have to take the medicine ourselves. Okay, so since the Dharma is not a physical material medicine, the Dharma is a form of teaching, is a lesson that we need to listen to, and we need to understand and analyze it for ourselves. So the Dharma is a form of processing, in a way. Okay, the process that we have to look into it for ourselves. Okay, so the medicine is there. The medicine is the Dharma, the teaching that the Buddha left, right? It needs individual who has open mind to receive it. Okay, if you don't have an open mind to receive it, you cannot benefit from the teaching. Okay, because the teaching is a lesson. The teaching is the pointer. The Buddha point the way. All right, you do this way, and you learn this way. You study this way. You will see the benefit this way. So when we do it, when we practice it, and the benefit will show up, it shows up inside us. It doesn't show up in our parents. It doesn't benefit our spouse. It doesn't benefit our children. No. Once we take the medicine, we cure ourselves. Okay? We cure ourselves. So that is the Dharma, and that is the teaching. And of course, once we cure ourselves, when we get to taste, right? When we get to taste the benefits of the teaching, then we can realize, oh wow, okay, and that, oh wow, that is the awakened moment that you never experienced before. You said, oh wow, okay, and then you see that, okay, there's practice that needs to be made within ourselves, because we never know what this mind is all along in our lives. We just go along with what the mind dictates, right? When the mind is angry, we always say, I'm angry. When the mind is happy, we say, I'm happy. When the mind is upset, we say, I'm upset, right? When the mind is depressed, we say, I'm depressed, right? I'm worried, and all that, right? We just go along with what the mind does. But an awakened mind is different, right? It's different. An awakened mind understand this mental phenomenon that is happening. Okay, so there is a sense of separation from the mind that we used to have before, right? The mind that we used to have, or ordinary people have, is just an ordinary mind that just flow, right, with the current, just flow, right, just go without knowing anything. It just because of the great illusion that the mind is displaying, that the mind is performing. But the great awakening is that we the mind snap out of itself in a way that it actually understands itself. Okay, and that is when wisdom arises, right? That is when wisdom arises, and wisdom can see the movement of the mind itself. Instead of identifying itself with the mind, now wisdom can see the movement of the mind and not attach, or less, becoming less attached to the mind. And as time goes on, the wisdom mind will start to get detached more and more and more from the ordinary mind that we are used to have. Okay, so that is a difference. Just because, let's say, a person start to awake, okay, to the ultimate reality of the mind, of existence, it doesn't mean that, the person completely is completely eradicated of all the defilement that have been embedded in the mind all along, all of these years and all of these many lives before. So the wisdom mind needs time to work itself, right? To work on itself, to eliminate, to eradicate all those defilements, a little bit at a time, right? A little bit at a time. And the more the wisdom mind cultivates itself, the less attachment it has, the less clinging it has, and the less suffering it has, right? And that is why an awakened one, when they see these benefits within themselves, right? So when the now that the medicine is working, they can see the benefit within themselves. And for many people, when they see the benefits of the medicine, of the Buddha's teaching, right? The benefit from a Dharma. Of course, awakened people love to share what they see, okay? But that is another problem of in and of itself, because the Dharma is not something that you can just push on top on people, right? And that's why a lot of people run into issue when they try to introduce new ideas like this to others, even including spouse or children or parents. It's very hard for them to understand, right? Because their minds, the ordinary mind, is pretty much a closed mind, right? The mind that is not willing to hear, a mind that is not willing to listen. Okay, so unless the mind has an opening, okay, has a little crack that they willing to hear a little bit, willing to learn something new, then the mind cannot receive the benefits from the teaching, right? So yes, even though the teaching is so amazing, is so valuable, right, to those who had discovered, who had received it, but you know, it's unfortunate that most of the people will never get to swallow this beautiful medicine, because they don't have what the will be, to grasp on, to get to allow themselves to see something new. Okay, the veil of ignorance is very, very thick. Okay, for most of the people, it's it's just like people walking blindfolded, and they don't want to take the blind off. Okay, and so that is very difficult for a lot of people who are awake and try to share ideas, try to share information, and they will run into the rejection. Okay, into rejection, and they get called as you are weird, right? You're strange, and things like that. So it is what it is. We can only give to people who are open-minded, who are ready to receive something that very nice, very beautiful, very helpful to them, right? So this is why the in one of the Buddha's uttering, Buddha said, take refuge in yourself, right? See, even the Buddha, even though, so when we pay respect to the Triple Gem, right, and we say we take refuge in the Buddha, we take refuge in the Dharma, and we take refuge in the Sangha, right? But ultimately, what the Buddha wanted us to do is to take refuge within ourselves. Okay, we are our own temple. Okay, because after we get to understand the lesson, okay, the practice is within ourselves, within each and every one of us. We are our own temple. So the Buddha or the Dharma teach us to take care of our very own mind, to take care of our own temple, right? The roof of our own inner temple, the walls of our own inner temple, to keep it calm, at peace, and harmony with nature. Okay, so we are to take refuge within ourselves by the guidance of the Buddha. Okay, the Buddha is our guidance, show us how to take refuge within ourselves. Okay, and that is the beautiful thing, right? Before we have learned the teaching, we have no refuge. Okay, we have no one to depend on. So it's because of that, because there is no one to depend on, there's no refuge within, we look for refuge out there. Okay, we chase after happiness from material things, from different sensual objects. It's because we don't have anything that we can depend on. So we look for things to depend on to complete us by looking out to to material objects or to people. Okay, as our refuge. Okay, as our comfort, as somebody or something that bring us peace, that bring us happiness. Okay, that is before we understand the teaching. But as we all know, the law of impermanence is everywhere and is upon every single thing in the universe. And when we depend on things that is impermanent, when we depend on people that who are also impermanent, okay, it's just like we are trying to hold on to something, to air, okay, that we cannot hold on to because it keeps changing. Materials things keep changing, right? People keep changing, and so from one thing to another, as we try to hold on, to hang on to this person, to that person, to this material, to that material, that to make us happy, it's like an elusive depending, right? We try to grab onto this, grab onto that, but it keep changing and it keep disappearing and all, and all that, sooner or later. And also including our own very own body, we cannot even depend on our very own physical body. It keeps getting sick and it keeps getting older. Okay, but once we discover the teaching, once we discover the medicine that the doctor had left for us, we found the true refuge, the refuge within, that we don't need to go out and depend or take a refuge in other objects or take a refuge in other person, in other people. The refuge is within ourselves. The refuge is within the temple that is inside every one of us. And this is the refuge that no one can take away from us. This is the ultimate refuge, right? The ultimate refuge is within us. And this is the teaching. The teaching point to this place, to this sacred place within every single one of us, the ultimate refuge, right? And that is Buddha's teaching. Once you find that, there is no comparison, okay? And that is it. There is nothing else that you would need because now you found home, okay? You found home. You found the true refuge, and that refuge is within. This is Buddha's teaching, and this is the medicine that the Buddha had left for us and for the fortunate one who are able to receive. Okay, so that is the message I like to relay to you all today. the doctor and his medicine, the Dharma, all right, the Buddha's teaching. So until next time, again, I like to pay respect to the triple gems. I like to pay respect to the Buddha. I like to pay respect to the Dharma, and I like to pay respect to the Sangha. And yes, anything that you like to chime in, you like to leave a message, please do so. More than happy to hear your input. Okay, until next time, Namaste.